team fight focused team comp, and then maybe they can swing it around just like game number 1, how they played in first Hollow.
I think that's about as much of a guess as we can have at this point, right? So for the most part, MV Black did have their players back on their normal roles on our third map. Reset played Arthas, but there wasn't any other range for him to play. Sake always plays the Grey Main, so that wasn't really even a role swap. It was just a forced flex pick. As Reset's been playing almost exclusively Li Ming, that was banned immediately. So first ban will go to GG once again on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And I don't think we're going to see the Genji in the ban phase. This will probably once again be Falstad related. Even though this is a smaller map, Sake plays almost purely Falstad on this map, so I would feel like that would be a smart choice to remove that.
I think that is very likely indeed.
So if you really want the Genji, you remove the Falstad here, just take it yourself.
Something just especially for GG, their Diablo with Malfurion pair is very strong against. I believe even the L5 or MVP Miracle especially had a very big trouble when they were fighting against Leoric, Diablo, and Malfurion all together. So Black with that in mind, maybe after if GG decides to pick up Zeratul from the beginning, they may actually ban again.
Well, all eyes were on Wu Jie there, which gave me a feeling that that was what was going to happen. Tist is like, oh man, how many times trying to hit this guy with my Howling Blast? It's actually going to be the Tyrael instead this time with the Zeratul. So Black getting everything they want.
Oh, now with that Zeratul Tyrael pickup, Diablo is almost totally gone.
Yep. There's the 0-3 we were looking for.
Ouch.
Ouch. All right, so I feel like here you want to go Falstad just because of how high of a chance Black is to pick him. And then you can ban the Grey Main in the ban phase. Like you take the Falstad, you ban the Grey Main. I think that's the way to go about this.
That's right, and Jaehyun should be picking up Malfurion right here. And they can still kind of pair it up with Diablo later on.
Should they pick Malfurion or should they pick the Uther later on? Oh, they're just going to take the Grey Main away. They're going to take the opposite approach to what I said. Probably ban the Falstad here. So there's the ETC.
Really putting all the DPS and tank lineup in the front line, first rotations. Because GG and everyone in the world already knows that Meryday's Lucio is quite a big harass when you're trying to turn in those gems.
Yeah, we could definitely see the Lucio ban here. I think you're looking at Lucio or the Falstad at this stage. For me, as annoying as Meryday's Lucio is, I'd much rather have the removal of the Falstad because it's basically exclusive of what Sake has been playing on the map. Like, you're doing your research as GG, you know that this really weakens MV Black's map choice here. The Nazebo ban is also not a bad one. I feel like it's not really as much of a concern, especially when you have Genji in your comp. Nazebo's slow damage isn't going to matter in this big fight where you suddenly clean everybody up and you're dying slowly, but it won't matter if you wipe the team, which is what they're clearly going for with this Genji pick with the ETC. This gives Sake the Falstad he wants. So I imagine that's going to be picked up here. Question is, will we see the Lucio?
I think that's very likely. And even Black can just toss the support pick into the very last pick if they choose to do so. As GG, they also need us very good support. Black ban Mouth themselves. Falstad definitely is a great pick as they have really...
Well, there's the Uther. So, gonna be with Cassia. Ragnaros insta-locked in. So, is it going to be the Karzim again for the 7-sided with the ETC? Ragnaros going to give a lot of poke on this map to deny turn-ins. Going to be Lucio instead. So, Sound Barrier can be, just like Overwatch, a big protection for the Dragon Blade going in. They may go X-Strike, but the X-Strike timings are going to have to be a lot better this time if they want to make that work with the Mosh Pit. We're going to have the trust that the ETC will hit the Mosh Pit. Decent interrupts on the side of Black. Actually, when I think about it, not so much.
Not so much. Just Luther's hammer is not.
Yeah, I was like, aha, you could just hammer. I'm like, well, he's gonna dance if he tries to do that.
Yeah, he's gonna dance himself. Well, Void Prison is of course a big threat.
Yes, it's really just the Void. Hammer if like he walks through a sank and interrupts him. In which case, no one's dancing anyways. That would be a funny thing to have happen. So the last pick here is likely to be some sort of really strong wave clear hero. You'd have to guess. Maybe even a hammer or Gul'dana's banned actually. Could it even be a Vala technically? Just don't do the Illidan. That's all I'm asking. Okay, it's going to be the Arthas. So they're going to prioritize the tanking here over the extra DPS. Arthas, decent wave clear. Can really help shut down the Genji. Tist hit basically every Howling Blast perfectly in the previous set. So that's going to be their route to lock Genji down. Based on who is playing what on GG, I'm going to have to, or, you know, what heroes we have, I'm going to say Genji will be played by Wu-Jay yet again, and BDG will play the Gray main. Let's move into this. So Wu-Jay is going to, if he wants to go X-Strike, once again, have to step it up. Doesn't have much protection to go for the Dragon Blade either, so the Genji pick, really another question mark in everyone's mind is this the right time to use it? Is this the comp that's going to make it work? We're going to find out right now as we go into game number 4 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. In blue, BDG on Ragnaros, Jaehyun on Lucio, Good on Grayman, actually, Hooligan on the Genji, and Wu-Jay on ETC. That's GG.
And in red, MVP Black, Sake on Cassia, Reset on Arthas, Tusk on Tyrio, Kyocha on Zeratul, and Meriday on Luther.
Okie dokie. See how
Let's see whose Genji is better from GG.
Yeah, I mean,
seems like they're going all the way around. Trying to show off who can play better on Genji.
Well, what's your favorite spray, G-Cliff?
I gotta say the Noble Nexus, Heroes of the Storm, is one of the best ones.
Yeah. I like it too, man. Shigong Showa, dude. Every time.
That's the meme.
Oh, reset! Very low. Hooligan gets actually a reset on his dash. Matisse has a well-placed Al Druins. They're going to get the pick here, though, onto Kyocha, so it's a double. All right. Okay, Hooligan. See how well Wu-Jay can play EDC, by the way. This is his first career game on the hero. As things are just bonkers crazy in this best of 5. I do want to also point out the Varian question mark is my second favorite spray. The confused Varian. What happened to me? I was so top tier. Oh, well, there's another great route, this time by Reset. See, and Tist have been swapping between these heroes throughout this best of 5. Lumberjack Uther is cutting down the spiders.
And Meriday once again will go for that quest onto the hammer.
Yep.
Seems like both MVP teams really liking that quest over everything else.
Yeah, it's the way to go, I'd say, especially in a comp that has so much protection where you can be auto-attacking much more often.
And also you can do much more CCs with less of a cooldown, and basically we saw lots of CC was the answer against Genji.
Look, I mean, point-click stun's pretty good, right? I mean, that's been the history of Heroes of the Storm in a nutshell. And if you're good enough, it feels like Verd and Stormbolt's pretty much that.
Yep, that's exactly right. There's a good line, and Hooligan actually jumps right in.
See, that's the kind of play, the play we're seeing from Hooligan right now is the kind of harassment and Swift Strike Dash oriented play we've expected to see from Wu-Jay with the build he took last game, but he was simply not being as aggressive as we're seeing Hooligan be here. And I feel like the Hooligan playstyle, all things considered, is going to be better. He does go for the Shuriken Mastery, though, at level 4. So looking to bank up that damage instead of going for that extra damage on the dash. Does get blown up, does Lucio, and Good is body blocked out as well. So double kill here for MVP Black.
Double kill, the great body blocks, and also we have so much CC, root and target stun too. With GG. Even if you have ETC on your side, and also some CC as you can have ETC on your side, you can make that rotations, but MVP Black, if you don't see them on the map, you have to be careful a little bit more.
Nice power slide here for the escape for WuJay.
Their controls over the map has been just way too powerful. And GG does not have so much, does not have the best wave clear. So it feels like they're losing their power of the rotations because they do not have the most wave clear.
I would agree with that. Jaehyun is once again vulnerable here. Does get out. And after eating that extra Uther damage. So constant harassment here. This is definitely a huge, massive trade for Black. But now has enough for a turn-in. With the positive exchanges they took in both of those battles, I feel like they definitely could go for it here. Power slide, though, coming in. WuJay has been really good on the ETC, to be honest. Not the hardest hero in the game to play, but their power slide usage especially has been good. And that will actually deny another turn-in by MVP Black. Problem is that GG isn't able to capitalize on it and get their own turn-in. That's what is really needed here. They don't have enough carried, but they'd like to deposit going into this. If they don't, they will have a lot carried going to the second turn-in phase, and that's where they could get wiped. Black gets 10 first off the web weaver push. Well, this map kind of functions that way. So Meriday gets another turn-in. Still need one more, though. 5+, probably going to be reset. I think he's actually carrying all of them. Now he's carrying 21 of the 30.
GG also has enough, but their rotation has been slower, so they're having a harder time to turn it in. And Black will have the first spawns of web weavers.
Okay, so this can lead to a faster 10 for Black, which they could use to bully GG. It's always a scary part of this map, and the first two turn-ins, this map usually goes a little bit longer, which is why Nazubo is so strong here. But if you get the double turn-ins, that's where you can really start to snowball the game, especially if you win a fight over the turn-in to make your opponents drop all of their carried gems. Just looking at talents right now as this push continues, and everything seems to be pretty normal, except ETC getting the extra damage at 7. Nice route over the wall, by the way, on the Genji. Nobody nearby to follow up, but just going to make the defense that more annoying there on the bot lane.
And he's also going to get the quest done a little bit faster with those stacks.
Yep, that's true. So Black just looking for a pretty conservative push. Just made a kind of a... Oh, hold that thought. Oh! He might have been able to go for that one, but he sees the rotation down, decides better of it. He's still very low and will be picked, so a bit greedy there. I was just say overall for Black, this is kind of economic what they're doing. They're just trying to maximize their EXP lead. They pushed all 3 lanes, but didn't heavily commit to a fort. Just want to have 10 first. 73 carried for GG, none turned in. Tits is being super aggressive here, too aggressive. Looks like he's going to lose his life for it. He has the Aldruins, but doesn't actually get to use it. Will actually drop a significant amount of gems. Completely blocked by the deflect of Hooligan. This should be an opportunity for a turn-in. Go just guarding the top.
They already got 40 in. Just need 10 more, I'm sure. Genji was holding a lot of himself. There's a turn-in for GG now.
So Kyocha just going to look for the picker here on the Hooligan. Not going to be the way, and this actually will be 10 for both teams. Hooligan drops the spray. Sadly does get rooted though. 10's up, what's it going to be? X strike yet again with the mosh pit. There's so many different combos that can make this work. They also have go for the throat. So they have a lot of ways to get those isolation picks similar to the last game, but again, the timing's going to have to be better here for Hooligan than it was for WuJay.
They got more burst damage with Surferus Smash available for them, so they can also go for the throat and the Swift Strike. Judgment coming out from MVP Black.
Immediately, the X Strike comes out afterwards.
Can't survive the Void Prison as we expected from the beginning. Lots of heroes already used for both sides. A Lightning Ball still available and Divine Shield available for Black though.
Hooligan wants the pick on the Sake. He needs a little bit more damage before he can actually get the Swift Sight reset. Not going to commit. This is all during the Web Weaver push though, so this is actually really well done by GG. A lot of damage actually coming out from the bounce here. WuJay's too close to Jaehyun. I think he's going to die for this. Where's the kill? It's not enough damage. Test with the Aldruins, though. Secures the kill. Oh, man.
They got 1 kill, but within that time, GG has been pushing the middle lane and the bot lane this entire time. The bot port is already gone. So that's an entire level lead for GG. There's lots of resources spent and also a death for GG, but the result, I think it's a lot better for GG.
Definitely. They got a fort and damage too. Way more than Black was able to do on their web weavers. They take a huge lead in EXP and structures. They have enough very soon carried for another turn in. And let's see if we see another good mosh pit. It was interrupted by the Void. The lack of sanctification is going to be an issue later on too. I feel like in these team fights, see why the judgment is used is they just want to isolate a target, probably actually the Genji as soon as he comes in. But the lack of invulnerability is going to be an issue. They have Divine Shield as well to come out. We've seen Judgment work, but it was with a lot more pairing of aggressive damages to get picks than this comp for Black has, so that's my big concern about this.
I want to see Judgment on Genji, and Genji just turn on that deflect. Instead, it's going to be on to another target now. It's going to be on Greymane, so much CC, but still alive.
Yeah, he did a lot of damage before he went down here. The Divine Shield is actually on reset. Wujae's going to go in for the big mosh. He's not available, not for 5 more seconds, so that was pretty bold there. Perhaps, you know, sometimes your teammates can expect you have a heroic like this, and you actually didn't tell them, so they didn't know, but you should always know yourself that you have it or not. If he had a mosh there, it could have maybe turned the tide of battle, but that was pretty optimistic regardless. This does still get them a turn in, but because of the deaths, the lack of pushing power, it's not going to do much for them. So Black is definitely going to capitalize on this. It almost feels like gems dropped rather than turned in, because this is just not going to really finish off either of these forts. Black could just sit back and soak the EXP to catch up to 13.
Almost GG. Actually, Genji going for that Shuriken again. You do a little bit more damage onto a single target if you hit all 3 Shurikens onto one single target.
It's actually pretty, and he just got his mastery too. It's actually pretty hard to hit those on a hero, but if you're good at it, or if you're being harassed by an Arthas, for example, you get the extra damage. It's amazing though at clearing bosses, pushing a boss, clearing a boss, clearing a web weaver, hitting a fort. That's where you're going to get the maximum value from it basically every time, where you can't miss. You can see he struggles to hit all 3 on Tis there at this range. It's going to be much easier when you're up in the front lines. When he uses X-Strike, that's where he's going to get some out.
I want to see cool interaction when Judgment goes into Genji and then Genji actually turns on that deflect. I don't think he can stop the CC from coming in, of course, or even can just use X-Strike to actually dodge the Judgment coming in.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to see the interaction.
I want to see. Yeah, I want to see how that works out too. I feel like the majority of these are going to be towards good, just like we saw in the last fight. Can be used on Hooligan if he oversteps his bounds, which he nearly did just now. It's actually going to be now onto the Ragnaros, who has no escape. He's self-cast Sulfuris, actually, and the Sound Barrier will save him. This is an opportunity for Wujae to shine right now. There's the double mosh. Divine Shield for the cancel. X-Strike totally wasted, however.
Onto the ground, and then Black still, Divine Shield still on. They basically just finished, and Fen doing so much damage as Sake is just consistently poking from the back. But it's Genji time. Genji is just shifting around the map.
Good is going to go down here in the top side of things, and despite the Genji living there, or Hooligan, as you just described, this ends up being a much better trade for Black. Sake playing with fire here, though. Hooligan wants it. There's the point-click stun, though, to deny. And, uh-oh. Meride may have overstepped his bounds here, too. This is actually just really sloppy on both sides. Kyocha comes up here. If you ask me why, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but he ends up dying as well, perhaps hoping that the remaining Uther Ghost could heal him and he could turn the fight around, but he was low on mana. That was messy.
That was
Let's be real.
And Genji was able to pick a few more kills. With that, I think, of course, GG took a little bit even more lead from what they had before. Also, Blacks, I think they're really almost to the point of regretting the fact they actually got Judgment. Maybe if Frag was on their own side, connecting with Smash to finish off the target. With Zeratul and Cassia, they do have a burst, but it's just not enough. Like if you have a Greymane or something like a Sulfuris Smash coming down onto the target.
And Cassia didn't even build into the extra Fen damage at 7. You know, if you have that, you have the Judgment, it's like, ooh, okay, that target is DED, man. But without it, it's obviously not as useful. You know, it's like, oh, I got Ragnaros, but Sound Barrier comes down, and then that wasn't very useful, and Sanctification would have been much better, right? Just like we saw in the last fight. Let's see if they can make any more plays with it as the game goes on. Wu-Jay's positioning on the ETC has been pretty good. So, turn in available for MVP Black. GG is actually going to just try to get rid of all the gems they have so far, as Black waits for 16. Nice dodge here, but here's the Sank. He can't, or excuse me, the Judgment. Can't dodge that, but once again, Amash is better. And X-Strike does not connect. We have seen like 0 money X-Strikes today. Here's the Mosh finishing up here again. Lots of heals going down self-wise here for Meriday, but he is isolated and killed. Pulling up Reset is the next target. They have the speed boost here to help chase.
Sake tried to turn it, but Greymane was there to actually cancel at the right time.
He's actually chasing in the bot. We're watching the tank fight, so that's the way the Korean observing always works. But looks like he will survive down there, and it's just going to be good pushing. He gets the healing fountain. Whoa, he might commit! Gets him before the blind!
Dropped 40-something gems on the ground just like that.
Well, I think Tist will get some of those. Actually, no. That's unfortunate.
That was a big cancel by Greymane there, as Cassia is really ready to have that turned in for their next sets of Whip Weavers, but GG just stepping over, just making the right calls, and also controlling the map right now. It's just insane.
So a lot of that burst came from go for the throat, not auto attack. So the blind, despite being useful there, wasn't enough to save him, and definitely not respecting the amount of damage Greymane could put out in an instant like that. So this is another Web Weaver now for GG. As both teams approach 20, obviously the lead for GG, and this is going to be a push that threatens keep walls. Kyocha had to clear bot, or else this bot push would definitely start putting some hurt onto the keep, so at least keeps the Web Weaver away for a time. It's going to buy them some time. Let's look for a defensive setup here now. Judgment, going to be tough to pull off here, especially with the Web Weavers now. For a big root. Hooligan's actually harassing Kyocha right now. He's got more mobility than Zeratul too. This could be a kill. He's looking for it, has to void. Wow, that was such a good trade.
That was such a good trade for Genji, and this entire time they have been pushing so that Void Prison Threat is already gone for GG. They can have a stronger push.
Molten Core should be up fairly soon. So this is actually really terrifying. Here we go. This is going to be the Mosh Pit attempt here. Divine Shield onto Sake, but look at this Sound Barrier coming up. X-Strike still available actually for Hooligan. He doesn't want to use it just yet. There's the aggressive Judgment coming in. The X-Strike, once again, not doing too much damage here. There's the kill onto Sake, though. Reset will be the next target. And Good is doing some serious damage. And look at the resets on the Swift Strike coming in for Hooligan. Will he dive Kyocha? He's got Molten Core to help him. Not going to dive it, it looks like. He's going to take the safer push here. Going to be a double keep, it looks like. So mid keep and the top keep. With 3 dead, I don't think they could end.
Such a strong push. They hit 20, but their only tank at the front line is CTC, and also Molten Core was just used. So I don't think they can go for the core as MVP Black. Those just not so crisp. I think Judgment is costing them way too much.
Now this is where Hooligan is going to clear this boss so fast with the triple shurikens, however you pronounce that word. It's not a word I use in my normal vocabulary until Overwatch came out. So the boss will get cleared here. Kyocha checked it, but there's nothing he could do to stop it.
So I think some extra bonus damage coming out from ETC, really helping the front line. And targeting down, especially Sake. Whenever Sake tries to come for the poke, overstep a little bit, they tend to focus on Sake a little bit more. Within that time, MVP Black was able to turn in their own. So that's going to relieve some pressure in all lanes, but that's going to be it. They're just going to buy some time so they can hit 20 before the fight, and GG already hitting 20, of course, will try to push all the way before MVP Black can even hit 20.
Yeah, this kind of nullifies the boss, but it means that everything that Black just turned in is totally worthless, and they're just going to have to try to turtle for 20. Okay, this is actually a good opportunity. This would have been a nice Judgment, but the rotation coming in quickly for GG. They decide not to go for it.
And Luther was quite away from the team. First heal onto Sake as they're looking for the right target. The Swift Strike does miss. It's on a long cooldown now.
We can just harassing right now. Gonna go for Pierce at 20. Decided to go for the deflect quest, which is actually quite difficult to pull off. You have to deflect a lot of damage and they'll hit everyone nearby. Okay, it's gonna be the target is good. Immediately the sound barrier comes down though. Will he survive? So Furious is great! And again, there's the big mosh, but that was one of the better X strikes we've seen. There will be enough damage here, that's the question.
The constant damage from Black is just enough. Will they even go for the chase here as they do not have a Lucy on their side?
Catapults on the core very soon as well in the mid lane. So the longer this goes on, it could be better for GG.
There's the Molten Core to turn things around here. They have a lot more poke damage coming in, so Black just turns around instead. Catapults, you have to clear those up.
Really good target selection. Good as half the time really been the heavy target. It's either him or BDG. So
also great sound barrier by Jaehyun. If he was just a second late and got trapped in that void prison before that sound barrier popped, which happens a lot for Lucio's. I think GG could have, like, MVP Black could have close to at least 3-4 kills instead. They were focusing, they were using lots of resources to take out Good alone, and just not having the burst really costed them a lot of time.
I think the sound barrier was really, like, all game long has been really good. Also, the moshes have been really well placed too. Like, always engaging with it right after the judgment comes in, when everyone in Black rushes in to capitalize on the judgment. Usually always finds the right angle. He has Bolt now as well, which makes this a lot easier. 35 seconds to go until that comes off. That's going to be a big factor in the games. Or sorry, not in the games, in the fights. And in all the rest of the games today, if we see a lot more. I really just feel like X-Strike here has not been incredibly impactful. Like, that's my impression on it so far. All right, BDG gonna get caught by this judgment. This time there's no sound barrier to save him as Lucio's caught in the Void Prison. Just like you were talking about before, he's gonna have it in just a moment. There's also a Mosh available. Uj actually bolts. Will he turn around for the Mosh? Sound barrier comes up. And they're just gonna back off here. They're gonna cut their losses. X-Strike used once again defensively. And he gets the Swift Strike over the wall. The top pressure actually is soon to be triple catapults though, so again, this is okay for BDG, or sorry, for GG, even though they lost BDG, if they just survive and no one else dies. They're gonna look to deny this turn-in. Oh, one off.
Just one off.
Oh my god, that is so painful. That would have relieved so much of the pressure if they can get that turned in. Meridia's gonna go for it once more. Looks like they're gonna have it. Good, may have overstepped his bounds here. He's gonna be picked off. Judgment coming in. And now it's Webweavers, and he's down, 2 dead.
Also, without Rag, they basically have no damage. Genji alone cannot pick off every single target.
He's doing a lot to reset, who got slowed by the fort. He's also out of mana. This is going to really relieve a lot of that pressure that Black's been dealing with all game long. But they don't even have a single fort kill yet, so without the forts to aid them, or sorry, with the forts to aid GG, these blockades, Black with this already very delayed push because of all the lanes they had to clear. Don't think they'll necessarily be able to even get a free keep here. It's going to be difficult. They're going to heavily commit mid. They definitely want to either commit mid or top, so catch all here in mid as we come over, and 10 seconds till Greymane.
So the top Genji rotation, so I think they're going to go pressure a little bit more as the Spider is still pretty healthy onto this.
Okay, we're going to see the Molten Core. Yeah, we're going to see the Molten Core sneak attempt here. Very risky. Okay, they check for it. They're like, okay, BDG should be around here somewhere. He's not. He's definitely going for this. It was actually very smart by Black to back off there. That was really, I mean, if you get the Molten Core behind that and the big Molten Swing comes out, you win the game. So, despite getting the web we return in, all they were able to kill was 1 fort and a little bit of the keep wall and like the healing fountain. That's it. That's it. So it's going to be a long uphill battle for MVP Black if they're going to take this win. And it's very pick-oriented with the judgment, so you can pick onto Good, picks onto BDG. I think that's how Black is going to slowly claw their way back in this game. As Reset and Coach are kind of on cleanup duty. Bosses respawn.
We just saw that Genji quest is completed. Now Deflect will actually hit all the heroes around. Will do so much more damage, but that's only if he can deflect so much damage coming in. Black has been focusing so well that he cannot deflect anything.
Yeah, also Black is not really dealing with they don't have a ton of rapid fire damage. I mean, obviously Sake's not going to fend into the deflection, right? So otherwise, you know, you're not really too concerned about this. So he held his 20 for a long time, and he was like, well, I went into the hit one target for Shuriken, so I probably don't want to take Pierce. It's definitely a tough call at the 20. All right, Kyocha spotted here. Unfortunately, Uj misses the power slide. Here's the judgment on BDG. This is the single target I'm talking about every time with this judgment. They have to get picks. They failed to do so this time.
And so 1v1 duel between Hooligan and Kyocha at the bottom for the moment. I think they're trying to draw out Molten Core so that it's just used before the team fight.
Yeah. Also, Sound Barrier is on a way longer cooldown than Judgment, so big trade for them in that way. Uh-oh, Uj getting caught here all alone. That was a pretty late holy ground, but you can see the idea there. Just so frustrating for MV Black that they're so pressured by all these lanes in the top and mid. Coach is just, again, always on cleanup duty. The Siege Giant push is coming. Now they're going to have to deal with this Bruiser camp, and it's like, enough is enough already, right? But you just nothing you can do about it. Keeps don't respawn in this game, so no in other MOBAs you kind of get that back eventually with respawns, but not in this one. So their early keeps are super important. They're so critical. As we scale into the late game too, the next wave we're going to be very powerful. The boss as well can just end the game. Tist is caught here, and Aldruin's over the wall though. It's actually going to commit onto Hooligan though. Going to be Genji is the target. The follow-up root attempt. He will get away. Void comes down though. Can they pair this with anything? Jaehyun is actually going to get away. Drops the sound barrier, misses it onto Hooligan, but he X-strikes there. That was a great X-strike, but already Good is dead. Black wants to win this fight. Off of that pick alone, they got 2 now. 3. Uj actually is so low.
ETC was already very low by the time he popped that mosh pit, and he had to blink away from the fight. Basically, and without the ETC, there's not much of a CC, just burst damage from all 3 of their teammates. So Black really, after knowing that, they just went all in, took off targets. That's all they had to do.
Hooligan looking to harass here, doesn't want them to take this boss. Wants a delay for his teammates to respawn. Mosh not available here. I feel like it's really risky to actually commit to distracting this boss right now.
The way that Hooligan has been playing Genji is more of an aggro. You go all the way in with the shift strike and just with the D, you just climb over the wall and just dodge away from all that damage. And you take a lot of the damage from deflect when you're inside, and that's usually how you play Genji, through the aggro. But once you cannot get any kills to get that reset onto your E, that's the real problem.
Yeah. This boss, I really like the idea to just let it go. They were getting a little bit frisky a second ago, but they decided to back off. They did stop the boss from being taken once. Black got a little bit greedy, like, oh, maybe we just kill these guys. But it's going to be boss plus a turn-in here. Even still, this is a full health fort. And Hooligan has a lot of damage he can actually do with the shurikens to knock down these web weavers, knock down this boss. They look for 23. It's only scaling they're missing right now. And Black can't really heavily commit. The only boss that's, or the only web weaver that's going to hit a keep is going to be the top one. Molten Core is used. See, the web weaver isn't even here with the boss, so it's going to be kind of, they deal with the boss and then the web weaver one by one. Coach is just trying to like push the mid one and soak a little bit in this crazy late game. We're 27 minutes in. It's one of the longer games in HGC Korea history.
BDG has that heroic level available, so maybe by the time we're a little bit after this web weaver is at the bottom lane hits, he can go onto that Molten Core one more time. Now this is a 27-minute web weaver push. It's going to do a lot of damage every single time she hits onto that key.
Yeah, they clear it out now. Probably want to rotate to the mid one, as that one is already exposed as well. Let's get the little spiderlings there, but look at how quickly they can clear this. It does a lot of damage, but it isn't going to last very long, and just a systematic defense here by GG. MV Black does get a small scaling advantage from this. And like level 24 to 23 is like 4% better in every regard, but we'll just see how they take this next defense, because it's going to be another web weaver push for GG soon that will go directly towards the core, as the lanes will naturally push with catapults. Black just hasn't been able to take even a single keep just yet. They're taking good fights consistently, and if they can do that, they'll never technically die. It's just, like I said, like, what, 8 minutes ago? This is going to be a long uphill battle with Black taking these picks.
Yeah, they know that Genji is away, and then Chris is looking for the target. Not going to commit all the way in now.
So it's 70 gems now for the next turn in for Black, but they only carry 28, whereas GG has a turn in available if they ever let up the pressure. Coach again just looking to clear these waves over and over and over again. And if he's actually going to steal the bruiser camp, which is nice, that's less pressure on their bot keep, the only keep they have left. Just clear this. This is just so difficult for Black to end this game, and they're looking for judgment picks over and over and over again. Look at Tiss positioning right now. Good step one, more step forward to judgment into the root, probably would have died. So GG also has to play super conservatively, because if they get wiped one time, the game ends. So just feels like Black is actually playing the better game right now, but they have all the cards stacked against them in terms of the lack of keep. So Molten Core, he thought about it. He's still thinking about it, but it's just, it feels like such a waste if he use it here. Black will just disengage.
I think GG really has to stay together. Even Hooligan, if he steps over, he can be the solo target, because that Angel of Justice actually has so much. The range on that hero is just so long.
That definitely is.
I feel like Hooligan has to be careful a little bit more. They're going to go for turn-in instead. It's going to be a 4v5 fight here. Lucio is the target. Gets blown up. ETC is very low already, so that's going to give you a kill for sure.
Sound Barrier just didn't have the ability to use it there.
Can Genji come in time? I feel like it's already too late to come in.
Mosh is canceled. He gets killed. The Sound Barrier being canceled was critical. And finally, Black gets the picks, the fights they need to try to end this game. Molten Core comes out desperately here to try to protect this keep. Black doesn't have any pressure on their core currently, but it looks like they are considering just backing off. No, here comes in that Angel of Justice once again onto BDG. Once the core expired, he's going to be the target. Root was good. So much damage coming out from the keep, though. Okay, there's the heal. The keep basically doesn't even, it tickles heroes at this stage. Level 25 of HP. You've seen that in the try mode, but this is a real game. So.
And with that, they don't have tank available, but this core would be no problem.
Sound Barrier is the only tool they're going to have. BDG gets once again blown up by this judgment. He finally dies this time. Hooligan's trying to do what he can. He has X-Strike, but just don't think it's going to matter. Even if Jaehyun Sound Barriers him, it just won't be enough. And finally, MVP Black will close out the series in a 31-minute game on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Oh boy, what a series that was. I expected a lot of Genji to be used, but I did not expect the results to